All right, it's 1:03. We'll get the meeting started and call it to order. Start off with a roll call.
So in Delaware County, Mr. Cazzola is excused. Ryan Hale.
Present.
Patrice Delameter.
Here.
Margaret Wilson.
Here.
Mr. Simmons is not present. Allison Martin.
Here.
John Farquhar. Here. Jim McCready.
Here.
Mark Souza.
Here.
Beth Whitman Putnam.
Present.
Hamilton County, Joyce Malidi is excused. Phil Malidi is present. Kenneth Kirk.
Here.
Avis Warner.
Here.
Gary Wicks.
Here.
Montgomery County, Thomas Pasquarelli.
Here.
Michael Swartz.
Here.
Tricia Sanders.
She is excused. She
sent a message.
Yes.
Anthony Agresta
Anthony excused.
is excused. Otsego County, Sidney Chase. Beth McGowan.
Present.
Nick Brent is excused. Tim Foster.
Here.
Rich Kirschman.
Here.
Schoharie County, Ed Brand.
He's deployed.
Huh?
He got deployed somewhere.
Oh, that's Ed Hillenbrand. Ed Hillenbrand is excused also. Dr. Luz is excused. Benjamin Lausch is excused. Mark Zeke is excused. Lou Jones.
Yes, sir.
Dr. Markowitz is excused. Sir, we have a quorum.
All right, everybody should have received the minutes from the January 16th meeting. Any corrections that need to be noted, deletions, additions? If not, I'll take a motion to approve.
I'll second.
Canada.
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed, abstaining? Introduction of guests.
Oh, we have a lot of nice guests today. We have Aaron Robinson from Gamak. Welcome, Aaron. Oh, from the fire department, I beg your pardon. Kathy Simons is from Wells. Howard Hughes is from SUNY Cobleskill. We have Steve Santa Maria and Beth Whitman Putnam from the Office of Emergency Management in Fulton County. Bruce Heberer, the Johnstown Fire Chief. Jill Dunham. We have from the New York Safety Track in Davenport, we have Greg Luminitsky and Steve Pushkar. We have Bill Beavers from AMR. Tim Kelly from the Monroe-Livingston Regional EMS Council. Mark Van Allen, who is the Deputy Fulton County EMS Coordinator. And from EMS Bureau, we have Mary Ramo, and Mary, welcome back. Good to have you back. Nice to see you. And Joe Farrell. Did I leave anybody out? If it was inadvertent. Okay. Welcome one and all. Let the record show Tony Agresta is here.
Correspondence, Phil did send an email with all the correspondence. There is also a copy up here if anybody would like to see it. Any questions or concerns, certainly you can see Phil and we will answer. Chairman's report, I really don't have anything that I'm going to address in this report. We will speak more, or I will speak more in the regional program update. With that being said, Secretary's report.
Okay. Secretary's report. First and foremost, congratulations to Tony Agresta, who is now Chief Agresta. We wish you the very best. The Vital Signs Conference will be held from October 29th to November 1st in Saratoga Springs this year. On January 21st, we were advised of an AED used by the Walton PD. The patient was a 78-year-old female who unfortunately did not survive despite resuscitative attempts. On January 28th, Ed Hillenbrand advised us of the passing of Carol Jacobs, who was a founding member of the Richmondville Volunteer Emergency Squad and a former member of AAREMS, way back when. And our thoughts and prayers are with her family members. On February 4th, Dr. Markowitz provided completed paperwork for a pre-hospital pediatric emergency care coordinator for Hartwick EMS and requested regional approval. So I'd like to make a motion as follows, that Brianne Zyka-Kraft is approved as the PECC coordinator for Hartwick EMS as per Dr. Markowitz's request. And I'll ask for a second on that.
Anyone second? Second. Okay. Any discussion? If not, all in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Abstaining? Carried.
On February 18th, we received a 5136 form from Long Lake requesting approval for their change of software provider to IPCR. I'd like to make a motion as follows, that AAREMS approves the change of of EPCR software vendor to IPCR as requested by the Long Lake Rescue Squad. And I'll ask for a second on that, if I may.
Second.
Tim?
Any discussion? If not, all in favor?
Aye.
Opposed, abstained, carried.
We have one notification of enforcement action taken. A gentleman by the name of Michael Alicia, lives in New York City. His certification was revoked effective the 10th of January of this year. Full information on him as received from the state will be noted in the minutes. That, sir, is my report.
Treasurer's report.
Okay. On January 2nd, we sent vouchers to the state for the program agency and the council contracts. We respectfully requested that payments for those vouchers be timelier than the previous quarter. When we submitted the vouchers on October 2nd, but didn't get payment until the 12th and 13th of December. After dialogue lasting several days, we submitted on January 24th a revised program agency voucher in the amount of $46,657.12. That was approved and sent for payment, with a payment date set for February 24th. A budget bond request and revised expenditure report for the council voucher was sent to DOH on the 27th of January, and the revised voucher in the amount of $7704.33 was submitted to them on January the 30th. That was approved just 2 days ago, with payment set for March the 20th. So our payment lag will be approximately the same this quarter as it was in the previous quarter. A printed report of the cash flow and balance sheets was distributed to all the members, and Tom and Sid, Lou, and Jack received the detailed cash flow balance sheets and register reports plus copies of the canceled checks as per the review arrangements agreed on to meet our audit standards. And their report is?
Everything was found to be complete and accurate.
And with regard to the audit, I sent a copy of our audit report out to all members last week. Our audit reports were received back from our independent auditors, and they noted that everything was in order, as you will see from the reports that were sent out to all the members.
With that said, can I have a motion to accept the treasurer's report?
So moved.
Okay. Second.
Any discussion? If not, all in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Abstained?
I will abstain as a staff member.
Committee reports. Let's start off with training today.
Okay. Howard, could I ask you to comment on our training committee that met this morning?
Sure. We discussed a couple of things. I'll try and be brief. Talked about maybe looking into developing an electronic resource or platform for instructors to share information back and forth across the region. We discussed about coronavirus 2019 prep as far as sheltering at home. That was referred back to county EMOs and public health offices. Maggie was kind enough to say that she was working on a policy for CME research with the new paperwork with regard to core and non-core. And there might be a possibility that stemmed off of that conversation for the region to enter into an EMS consortium for a regional platform to bid. So instead of one place using one regional online tool for CME recertification, possibly we could get a better price if we got together and shopped it as a region. Let's see here. And we announced that there was going to be a CIU on, I actually locked down the date, Monday, July 20th of 2020, and that'll be Connie Matera talking about some cardiac arrest management.
July 20th, you said?
July 20th. The only other thing that we discussed is that Joyce is currently in the process of working on the AAREMS schedule for the CIU and the teaching day, and once that information is released, we'll get that out to everybody also.
Thank you, sir.
Anything else for training?
That's it.
Regional program update. You want to start?
No, I'll let you go. I'll let you run with the ball.
So, a couple of weeks ago, I'm not sure that everybody completely understands how regional councils and program agencies work. But there are basically two contracts that support this organization. One is, the council contract, as Phil broke out in his treasurer's report, and one is the program agency contract. So 2 weeks ago, we received an email, requesting that all program agency directors report to Albany with like a 2-day notice from across the state. With that being said, we all showed up at DOH and learned some pretty interesting things. Currently, our program agency, the contract runs out June 30th. There has not been any renewals sent out to this point. So the program agency's job is to answer the deliverables that are set forth by the state and provide guidance and or support to the regional council. So we all showed up at this meeting and we learned that instead of 18 program agencies, the state is looking to consolidate. Now, they haven't really come up with a plan on how they plan on doing that, other than, or the total number for that matter. There was one thought that there should be one program agency with employees to support all of the regional councils across the state. Then there was another discussion that there would be four program agencies and 4 program contracts to support all of the regionals across the state. And how that breakdown goes, if we all remember, a few years back they had tried to implement this and cut it from 18 to 10 based off of economic development loans and things like that. We're back to that. So with that being said, it has left a lot of program agencies scrambling to see how are we going to move forward, because again, the contracts at this point are not planned on being renewed on July 1 without some sort of a plan for consolidation. So what does that mean for us? Certainly those, yes.
Just a point of clarification, when you said the state is looking to consolidate, do you mean state EMS, DOH, or the state?
The Bureau is looking to consolidate those 18 contracts into something substantially less. The thought process is that they don't want to take the money, the overall money away, the total amount, but they want to decrease the expenses. The thought processes are every program agency has to pay for an audit. Ours is 9,000 plus. You know, some from across the state pay more than that, up to 25,000. So instead of having 18 of those audits, if they can cut that down to 4, that puts more money in the coffers to, you know, to change deliverables, to do things like that. The same thing with rent expenses, storage fees, and all of those other things that other regional councils or program agencies may pay. The thought process is that they would use state buildings to support that, and it would pretty much be rent-free, which again would put that money into the coffers. So there are several more meetings. There's one slated for next week in Utica that just the program agencies and not the Bureau will be at for further discussion. And then there is the program agency meeting the day before State Council in Albany, in which there will be further discussion. So while they've issued, let me put my surprise look on, issued no guidance on how they want to proceed, it has left the regional or the program agencies scrambling on, you know, who they want to align with and how they want to present their plans. So with that being said, there was, you know, several conversations on the regional program updates or agencies between Remo, Mountain Lakes, and AAREMS to see what the thought process was. I personally have talked to a couple of people on this council to see what their thoughts were and what we should do. No matter what plan comes forward, we don't know how the state is going to accept it or not accept it, to be honest with you. So they may say, you're in this for, you know, one of 4 program agencies, and this is what you have. I think that overall, it would be in the best interest for this region, and again, this is my personal opinion, and we are open for discussion because we have to attend these meetings, on getting the council's input on where you guys would like to see this go. You know, is it in our best interest to align with Mountain Lakes and Remo, or should we be looking at other councils?
We had an extremely positive conference call day before yesterday with Mountain Lakes and Remo. Travis Howard, Mountain Lakes, and Tim Robley at Remo, and then Tom and myself. And we are definitely our three agencies, our three regional councils, I should say, we are definitely all of one mind on the fact that we kind of all pull together and all work on the same page and have for many years. It was very positive.
I would like to pursue that. I think that we have always been closely aligned. When we had separate protocols, we all worked together to be somewhat in line. I think in terms of travel, I think that I'd rather go to Albany than Binghamton or Syracuse. So I would say that those three make some sense.
Now, we should keep in mind that we are in a situation here in AAREMS where we are our own program agency, so our regional council remains untouched throughout all of this. It's the program agency, which is kind of a separate floating entity, so to speak, which would be consolidated.
And I will say that is across the state, so that is not taking away from the regional councils. There will still be 18 regional councils, but the program agency that supports those regional councils will be the ones that are dwindled. So when we look at dollars and cents, the program agency receives somewhere around
153,842 is our budget.
So 153,000, where the council's contract is only 25,000. So there'll still be 18 regional councils at this point. It's just who is going to support us in the roles that Phil and Joyce would normally do, with the training, the education, the QA, QI.
Just keeping the doors open and answering the phones and taking care of the emails and such like. The staff support, in other words.
Also, one of the other reasons that the state, I think, is looking to move towards less program agencies is they want to be able to guide EMS in a direction that is going to be sustainable. And currently, the deliverables for the program agencies haven't changed in I don't know how many years, but a long time. And the things that are in there are just really dated and obsolete. And they find some program agencies are actually providing these for real, and some are not, and others are going above and beyond. So they really want to reshape how EMS is going, and with all of the agencies and all of the regions across the state, you know, looking at financial hardships, there's agencies that are closing across the state. They really want those regional councils and the program agencies to be more involved and certainly make that process streamlined up to the bureau level. So with that being said, does anybody have any other thoughts on which directions and who we should be talking to as far as program agencies, other than the Remo, Mountain Lakes, and AAREMS region?
If they follow the map from 2011, it would split our region into our different counties. Would be,
That would be
I think that'd be very difficult.
would be counterproductive all around.
I mean, if you looked at the old map, they had Otsego and Delaware going towards Binghamton, and Fulton, Montgomery, Schoharie,
In Hamilton.
no, Hamilton was in the Binghamton group. And the others, so Hamilton, Otsego, and Delaware were in the Binghamton group, and the others were in the Albany group. And I don't think it makes sense to.
No, it was really an artificial construct, and plus it fell through anyway. If the state is quite sincere in their stated goal of streamlining and being more cohesive and more productive, then they obviously will turn a favorable eye toward the agencies that work together and want to stay together. It seems to me, that seems logical to me. logic and the state Department of Health don't always go together.
It's a really short time frame to do this with any sort of good planning.
They are talking about, I'm sorry, go
So
ahead, Tom.
this was definitely brought up. Typically, they do allow for contract extensions, but those contract extensions are generally multi-year contract extensions. They absolutely will not do that, and Ryan and Steve were pretty adamant that they will not even, while the Bureau is creating contract extensions, they are adamant that they will not be long-term and that they will not present them at all until there is a plan in place. So, believe me, there was 18 people in the room that really stressed that getting this done by July 1 is almost impossible, and I think that they realize that, but I don't necessarily believe that that contract extension is going to be much past 6 months, maybe a year at the most to get this plan, but they won't even offer us a contract extension unless we come to them with a plan of some sort.
I would propose that we consider going forward with our colleagues in Mountain Lakes and Remo.
Sounds like a plan.
Any objections to that?
Who are the ones who are furthest away and most affected? Otsego?
I'm sorry?
Otsego, Delaware, top of Herkimer.
How would this affect our employees?
I'm sorry?
That is yet to be determined. Theoretically, again, we have no guidance.
Right.
There would have to be employees that would support the regional councils, whether or not, we don't even know, again, there's been 2 conversations. One that was basically forced down our throat by the Bureau, and then one, with 3 program agencies that the Mountain Lakes, Remo, and AAREMS, and we don't know how that would play out. I can tell you Mountain Lakes is leaning more towards putting that program agency responsibility, or the head responsibility towards the Remo region.
Mm-hmm.
I think that personally, that's probably where we would probably lean as well.
Makes sense to me.
And then it would be up to Remo to either hire employees to support our council, or, certainly assign employees to support our council.
The bottom line, of course, is that there has to be staff support for the regional councils. Otherwise, nothing can get done. Nothing would be accomplished.
It's probably just an overall reduction of employees based on the consolidation, I would suspect.
Well, I think that they're looking to again, now they were adamant that contract is somewhere in the area of $7 million a year. They're not looking to take that money away. They're just looking to better use that money. So if they don't have to throw away $200,000 or $300,000 or $400,000 of that for audit expenses,
Right.
and another couple $100,000 for rent expenses, that money can be soaked back into the program agency to hire employees and to change the deliverables and to manage those deliverables.
I think it's always risky when you try to discern the mind of the state on anything, but I think where they're coming from as far as rental space and utilities and so forth is for the program agencies as such, because each regional council has to have a physical address to do business and has to arrange for its own rental or ownership of space. So I think where they're coming at from are just trying to reallocate productively program agency funds.
The concept
point,
makes
that's what it
perfect
seems to me.
sense.
I'm sorry.
The concept makes perfect sense.
Right.
The implementation seems insane.
I almost get the impression that the state wants us to suggest productive ways to implement this.
They have not come forward with a plan, and we can sit there and say we want to combine, our 3 program agencies, and they're going to tell us, they could tell us, no, you're going to be, with Hudson Valley and Westchester and whoever else they may pick, we don't know that. But our thought process, certainly amongst the 3 regions, is that if we present this plan, at least we're the ones making that suggestion and presenting it, as opposed to having something jammed down our throat that may not be beneficial for the three regions.
Plus, which we can demonstrate, we being all three of our regions, we can demonstrate a long history of working together and a long history of productive activity.
Tom, the program agencies, when they just talked about 4 of them, does that not include New York City, Nassau County? Are they gonna be their own
They are
agency?
not, there's what, Joe and Mary, somebody can help me out. There's 4 regional offices in the state, correct?
Right.
So those, whatever regional office services whatever area, that's the program agency.
New York City has its own program.
But where did that regional office services,
Right.
just New York City?
No,
Or
it
does
does the Hudson Valley, New York City, Long Island.
So that would be one program agency. Whoever, whatever territory Joe has and Mary have in out of the central office would be another one, then you'd have your central
Syracuse.
office, Syracuse area, and then your Buffalo region. My thought process, like Howard said, this is a huge undertaking. I don't necessarily know that they can consolidate to 1 or to 4 at this point. I think that they're looking to certainly consolidate. My thought process, again, again, this is just me. If they can get it down to 10 this year, and then work, another year or 2 down the road from consolidating from 10 to 5 or to 4, and then
I don't think that's gonna happen. Yes, you think your thought process is right, but you're dealing with the state. When they say it's not gonna happen, it's not gonna happen.
so again,
I think it would be very, very difficult to complete this by the 30th. And you said you don't know about the contract extension, they're quite adamant they don't want to do a contract extension, but knowing the state and how they don't operate, it's gonna be very, very difficult to do that.
So what happens if we put in no plan?
Then we're behind the curve. It seems to me we will serve ourselves better by being ahead of the curve as we are right now.
Probably the same thing that happens if we do put in a plan. They're gonna do whatever they want.
Fixing their budget.
our thought process is, come June 30th, if we can drive a plan, and on June 30th, we can present that plan. If nothing else, they've been adamant that they're not putting in for an extension if you don't have a plan. And
Right,
at
but
least
what
if-
happens when they don't have a program agency to carry out their deliverables?
Right.
Yeah.
I don't think that they're thinking at it in that way.
Like I said.
So, the whole thing that brought this to light is the lawsuit against, I don't even know what regional council, in regards to the tech credentialing and things like that.
AAREMS.
Yes,
Yeah.
and it really brought to light, what do the regional councils and what do the program agencies do? We don't credential techs, we can't credential techs. If we can't restrict them, we certainly can't credential them. And, I don't think that everybody knows what the program agencies do for the regional council. Whether it's accepting CON applications, reviewing them, the financial aspect of things. We've been fortunate and we are spoiled, I think, as a regional council, because Phil and Joyce have done a phenomenal job over the years, and they've, you come to these meetings and everything runs very smoothly. I don't know, it makes me nervous on what's gonna happen, in the future. I just know that if we go with a plan, and we have several regions that comprise of whatever, 18 or so many counties, that
I think the three regional councils cover 17 counties, if I'm not mistaken.
17 counts.
17.
so if we come together with a plan for that, our hopes are certainly that we can say, hey, at least give us the extension. And I will tell you that there's other regional councils that are working with or other program agencies working together, and then there's some that haven't done a thing up to this point, even though that this has been 2 weeks in the making.
I mean, at least demonstrating the effort to consolidate it, with
Right.
other, I think is the way to go, sure.
So has anybody considered what this does when the program agencies are the course sponsors?
That was certainly a discussion and will be another discussion. There are actually program agencies that are county-wide or that are county-run as well in the state, which throws another whole mix into things. So again, I had an off-the-record conversation with Steve the other day, and Ryan has been on vacation in New York City, and he says they haven't even talked about it since they asked us all to go to Albany. So,
When he says Steve, he's talking about Steve Bizura from the Department of Health, by the way, just.
so it was thrown at us in a meeting, and then that was the end of it, and they're been on a 2-week hiatus.
This
Do
is
we
one
know
of
how Remo and Mountain Lakes feel about this as a council? I know you had a meeting with the higher-ups. When their councils meet?
The folks we spoke to in our conference call seemed to indicate that the councils would be on the same page as ourselves. Yeah, they seem to see no problem at all with our all going forward as a unit.
They all want to come to Johnstown?
You see, the program agency is kind of it kind of floats. It's kind of almost in cyberspace, and it's a little different with us. We have a different mindset because we're our own program agency. But if we are no longer our own program agency, it just means that some other entity somewhere is employing staff to serve this regional council, which still remains right here, and still remains its own corporation, and presumably would still have the same employees, because that would be a logical move. As I said, our conference call, I felt the other day with our three councils, with our three councils, Remo and Mountain Lakes and ourselves, was very productive. We were all thinking on the same page, all moving forward and almost at a lockstep. It was a very good call, very positive. And I think we are well served by presenting that to the state, because I don't really know what other plans the state has at this point. I think they would be ill-advised not to welcome our own plans, because it shows we're thinking.
Are you looking for a motion, or?
Well, what are your thoughts? I mean, you're so far south. Is Remo good? No, Maggie.
Well, I think that your thought of coming up with a plan ahead of time and maybe taking a look at what it looks like, what does the breakdown look like? Does it mean moving where the regional council meetings are held? Does it mean regional council meetings will remain where they are, where the program agency staff is in one central location? Or is it an idea of the program agency staff is in a central location and they've got regional outlets, and really all we're doing is consolidating, saving money with one audit, and we're all storing everything in the same spot, but the staff is still available to assist people in their region. So I guess when you look at the breakdown, that would be how it would affect us.
The regional,
the regional councils remain the same, like I said.
they
I
remain
mean, the
exactly the
program
same.
agency, so it's one program agency, let's say it's located in Albany, but our staff that helps us with our region is located, as a spoke off of that, but all of our storage and all those expenses all go back to the regional. So I guess that's what it
And
would
those are all obviously things
Yeah.
that have to be discussed. It's
I
been
think that's
so
all.
fast.
As a point of information, the regional council pays for our storage space and our office space right now. That's how the regional council.
The regional council pays for it. Yeah, so I think that would be, how this is going to lay out would determine how it's gonna affect somebody as far, I mean, it's 2 hours for me to go to Albany, but it's 2 hours for me to come here.
Right.
So,
And I'm in the same boat time-wise.
I don't see, just from what has been presented to us so far, I don't see any change at all in the regimen of the regional councils.
yeah.
I just
so-
don't.
You bring this up and you ask how it affects the employees, and certainly nobody knows, but there are regional or program agencies out there that don't just have 2 or 3 people. They've got several people that work for that program agency. And believe me, everybody, including program agency directors, are they gonna have jobs? You know, you know, there's 18,
Mr. Morris,
you know, they take and break it down to 4 or take it down to 1. There's, you know, 14 to 17 people right there that may
Right.
not necessarily have work.
And forgive me, because this is just the first I've heard of it, so I've just got a bunch of stuff going through my head. So, I mean, it seems to me like it makes the most sense that those two regions are probably the closest, likewise business style for us to work with, but there's some definite differences having worked in all 3 regions, among the 3. What type of you probably don't have an answer, what type of a plan is the BEM's office looking for? Is it, you know, yes, we look at working together to reduce costs, there's our plan, or is it an actual business plan with real numbers? I also don't know how much it's gonna save on audits, because if you have a larger group of people.
The audit's gonna cost more money.
Right, so.
That's what I thought, right?
I don't really know, I don't think DOH has anything specific in mind at all at this point. Considering that all this came about beginning the 4th of February, I think it was.
They sent an email on Friday and requested the meeting at 2 o'clock, 1:30 on Tuesday.
Right.
For people to make plans from across the state to get to Albany.
No webinar option.
What?
Exactly. No call-ins, no webinar, no nothing.
They have told, they have said nothing to their staff in-house, except for we were accidentally included on the email invite. We're not invited.
We accidentally informed you?
What was funny is that's the first I've been in the building, but they were walking up and down the hallways looking in the room.
Back in your cubicle.
All right.
Anyway, we'll keep you fully informed, I assure you, just like we always do, like we always try to do.
If this is in this situation already, would it be worthwhile trying to pull together one joint REMSCO meeting in the next couple months? Like invite them?
I think that might be a little premature, my own thought.
Again, we had brief discussion with those 2 regions next week. On Wednesday or Thursday, there's a meeting in Utica. That again is just the program agencies.
I mean, again, I'm just.
But Howard, I mean, the REMSCOs all meet at various times. I mean, you guys meet Thursdays. Remo is the 4th Friday, or I'm sorry, 4th Monday
At night.
of the month at 6 p.m. And Mountain Lakes, their next meeting is April 27th.
Maybe it'd be worth at least sending some representatives from each of the REMSCOs to each other's meetings. I mean, we have no time to pull this off, so if we're gonna do something, we need to be decisive about it now.
Actually, there will be REMSCO representatives from our 3 regions of which we've been talking about at this next meeting.
Not at
You serve
each
all
other's
3 regions?
meetings.
Yeah, I'm saying we
Serve all
should.
3 regions?
Joe and I both do.
You both do, right?
Yeah.
So there,
Yeah, you just speak for us.
Until they get uninvited to that too. Not that ever
Well,
happens.
The regional councils themselves are not going to change. It's the
Regional councils are
program
not
agency.
changing. It's a program agency, and each regional council will
So-
still have the individuality to do certain things. Like if, for instance, if we set CON fees at $5,000 for this council, and Remo was $7,500, that's their
Right.
council.
I think here's where people are having the biggest problem. If you say AAREMS, and don't take this the wrong way, you say AAREMS, everyone thinks, oh, that's Phil.
Right.
Because Phil has been in this role for so long, the identity of the council, the program agency, and the sponsorship have lost all individuality. Everything is Phil and Joyce now. So it's hard for people to differentiate, Phil, what specifically is the program agency and its responsibilities. And I think that's where people are having the most difficulty to be able to process
This may sound a little simplistic, but I honestly I don't think that we here at AAREMS with our monthly meetings and so forth will see any difference in this at all, to be honest with you. It's gonna be an administrative difference. county administrator different. And just what direction that difference is gonna take, I don't think anybody knows yet, including the state, or maybe especially the state.
Yeah, that's what concerns me.
Well, you remember
The concept makes perfect sense.
quite a few years ago, when, we had Broome, Tioga, and Shenango County in our region, and it were AAREMS. And when Article 30 changed, and all of a sudden, bam, there's some money to be had, and then they wanted to go back to being your own program agency, I would just hope that we wouldn't get shafted like we did on that deal.
Well, so there's the 800-pound gorilla in the room too. It's Article 30. So I can only assume that this is just the tip of the iceberg, and that finally people are really looking at Article 30 revisions down the road.
Oh, I'm sure of that.
So
It's already started. We've already had emergency legislation pushed through to change Article
And
30
that-
for the CME
Right.
stuff.
And Article 30 governs the regional councils, but not the program agencies.
Right.
correct, right, right. Not lost on me. Yep.
By
So
the way,
with that being
Dave,
said, I
yourself
guess
with-
we will continue our talks and see what the next couple of weeks bring. Like I said, the next 2 meetings are going to be all of the program agencies from across the state. And, you know, and then the next meeting will be all the program agencies from across the state. And then the following will be that, as well as the Bureau. So hopefully there will be more that comes out of that in early March at that meeting, to see which direction they're leaning.
Tom, I'm just thinking, you know, as we absorb this, any thoughts or questions we have, we can probably just email back and forth.
Email back and forth,
Or,
email
you know,
Phil.
suggestions.
Absolutely.
We're
Absolutely. I will share your thoughts with all, unless you advise me not to.
Deal.
Might be a fun CMAC SEMSCO meeting to attend too.
I'm sure.
That will be March
Second week.
10th and 11th at Hilton Albany, 40 Lodge Street, Albany.
$20 a day park.
What?
$20 a day parking.
Mm-hmm.
Really? Boy.
State's gotta make money somehow.
That's a private that's a private. If you remember that, we used to meet there, Tom, and I don't know if your truck will fit.
We better.
Charge him 25.
I have an alternate that drives a Subaru. Anyways, all right.
I'm not trying to be funny, but it used to be down there.
It was like 2009 to 2013, the from when I moved back to then it was down there, and then we were at Troy.
But our state cars didn't fit in there. The expeditions didn't fit in.
Okay.
Oh.
All right, with that being said, the policy committee can be put on hold. That report can be put on hold. Transportation and standards.
Transportation standards, I'll deal very, very briefly with the Treadwell Fire Department Emergency Squad application for expansion of territory. And the application was found incomplete at our January 16th meeting. A letter was sent to the applicant on January 28th noting the areas that needed addressing. And by phone conversation day before yesterday, I was advised that the applicant was proceeding with the details that are needed for completion. So we will wait to hear further. The Stamford Joint Fire District on December 18th sent us a redacted copy of their application for CON. They've been operating under a municipal CON which is due to expire next month. They delivered an unredacted hard copy at our December meeting. And on February 13th, the appropriate notices and newspaper legal publications having taken place, we had a public hearing for the Stamford Joint Fire District application for a certificate of need. 10 persons plus the hearing officer were in attendance. This included 6 council members. No one came forward to speak during the hearing. The hearing officer's report was forwarded to all members on February 17th. So the time has now come for a roll call vote on this application. gone through a whole box of these red rope folders in the past 6 months, interestingly enough, at the office. I would like to make the following motion. Resolved, that public need has been shown to exist for the Stanford Joint Fire District to establish advanced life support services with their primary operating territory to be the area of the Joint Fire District. I'd entertain a second on that motion, if someone is so willing. I'm sorry, who was that?
Mickey.
Mickey, okay.
Motion's been made and seconded. Any discussion?
Do we have any discussion about the CON application for the Stanford Joint Fire District?
No discussion?
No discussion? We'll
If not-
proceed then with the roll call vote. A yes vote is an approval of the certificate of need application. A no vote is a denial, and an abstention is also permitted. Delaware County, Mr. Cazzola is excused. Ryan Hanel,
Abstain.
Patrice Delamita.
Yes.
Patrice Delamita votes yes. Margaret Wilson?
Abstain.
Margaret Wilson abstains. David Simmons is not present. Fulton County, Allison Martin.
Yes.
I'm sorry,
Yes.
Allison Martin votes yes. Jack Farquhar.
Yes.
Jack Farquhar votes yes. Jim McCready.
Yes.
Jim McCready votes yes. Mark Souza.
Yes.
Since we have 4 voting members, Beth Whitman Putnam is present but does not have a vote in this instance. Hamlin County, Judge Brady is absent. Phil Malidi votes yes. Kenneth Kurt.
Yes.
Kenneth Kurt votes yes. Avis Warner.
Yes.
Avis Warner votes yes. Gary Wicks.
Yes.
Gary Wicks votes yes. Montgomery County, Thomas Pasquarelli.
Yes.
Thomas Pasquarelli votes yes. Michael Swartz.
Yes.
Michael Swartz votes yes. Rich Sanders is absent. Anthony Agresta.
Yes.
Anthony Agresta votes yes. Otsego County, Sidney Chase.
Yes.
Sidney Chase votes yes. Elizabeth McGowan.
Yes.
McGowan votes yes. Nick Brent is absent. Timothy Foster.
Yes.
Foster votes yes. Richard Kirschman.
Yes.
Kirschman votes yes. Schoharie County, Mr. Brandt is absent. Mr. Hillenbrand is absent. Dr. Luz is absent. Benjamin Louch is absent. Peter Nichols is absent. And Dr. Markowitz is also a voting member. He is absent. The results of the vote, sir, are...
How would that be included?
I don't, I just want to remind Phil that 2 of the folks that he just listed off actually don't have voting privileges because their terms expired.
True. But they have no vote. In this case, they are, it is a good point. But thank you. We have 2 votes to abstain, no votes in the negative, and in affirmative, we have 16 yes. The resolution is adopted. Bear with me for a moment. Now regarding the C1 application from the New York Safety Track. On December 18th, we received the C1 application from New York Safety Track located in Davenport, New York, to initiate a BLS ambulance service with their primary operating territory to be solely on track property. On February the 13th, a public hearing was held in this matter. Appropriate notices having been sent out and legal notices having been published as per our policies. There were 12 persons in attendance at the public hearing in addition to the hearing officer, and this number included 6 members of the council. Speakers included Mr. Lubinitsky of the New York Safety Track and Mr. Beavers. The hearing officer's report was forwarded to all members on February 17th, and the time has now come for a roll call vote on this issue. I would therefore like to make the following resolution. Resolved, that public need has been shown to exist for the New York Safety Track to establish an ambulance service with their primary operating territory to be on the property of the track. Once again, a yes vote is approval of the application, a no vote is denial, and abstentions, of course, are permitted. The motion is made. Do I have a second on the motion?
Second.
I'm sorry,
Ken.
Ken?
Motion's been made and seconded. Any discussion?
Just a clarification on the transcript, which has no bearing on anything, other than, page 16, they made a reference to, first response from Margaretville, and I know that ain't it. So I'm assuming they meant Davenport. I read the transcript, honest.
Point of clarification, I'm reading 0606. REMSCO shall make its determination by a roll call ballot of the members present to accept or reject the recommendation of the committee. The motion must be made in the form of approval based on the Department's Bureau of House Counsel opinion. In order to make a determination, it must be passed by not less than a majority of the entire members authorized to vote, not those members present for the meeting. Sir, do we have that here to make any vote on a CON application today?
I'm sorry, what was your question?
How much, you need a majority of the members on the council, not just the quorum.
Correct, that's what.
And we have met that?
When I say a voting quorum, that's what I mean, a voting quorum in synchronization with the policies of 0606.
Thank you.
It's 24, right?
Yes, 13 is a voting quorum for the purposes of
That was
0606 that we have. Yeah.
Thank you.
Okay.
Any other discussion? We're discussing something.
Do we have any further discussion on this motion?
The hearing officer issued a report, I think was sent out to all of the
Correct.
members.
Correct.
If you did not have an opportunity to review that, I have copies.
It was sent out in a timely manner.
The
to
hearing
all our
officer
members.
did make a recommendation on the application.
Do we have any further discussion on the motion? Once again, a yes vote is approval of the motion and of the application. A no vote is denial, and abstentions, of course, are permitted.
No other discussion? If not, call the roll.
Delaware County, Mr. Cazzola is absent. Brian Hanel.
Yes.
Brian Hanel votes yes. Patrice Delameter.
Yes.
I'm sorry.
Yes, sorry.
Patrice Delameter votes yes. Margaret Wilson.
Abstain.
Abstain. David Simmons is not present. Allison Martin.
Yes.
Allison Martin votes yes. Jack Farquhar.
Yes.
Jack Farquhar votes yes. Jim McCready.
Yes.
Jim McCready votes yes. Mark Souza.
No.
Mark Souza votes no. Beth Whittem Putnam is present, but does not have a vote since there are 4 voting members from Fulton County present today. Joyce Malidi is absent. Philip Malidi votes yes. Kenneth Kurt.
Yes.
Kenneth Kurt votes yes. Avis Warner.
Yes.
Avis Warner votes yes. Gary Wicks.
Yes.
Gary Wicks votes yes. Thomas Pasquarelli.
No.
Thomas Pasquarelli votes no. Michael Swartz.
No.
Michael Swartz votes no. Patricia Sanders is absent. Anthony Agresta.
No.
Anthony Agresta votes no. Otsego County, Sidney Chase.
Yes.
Sidney Chase votes yes. Elizabeth McGowan.
No.
Elizabeth McGowan votes no. Timothy Foster.
Yes.
Timothy Foster votes yes. Richard Kirschman.
Yes.
Mr. Kirschman votes yes. Schoharie County, Mr. Brandt, Mr. Hillenbrand, Dr. Luz, Benjamin Lausch, pardon me, Peter Nichols. Dr. Markowitz is absent. He is a voting member from REMAC. The tally is as follows. 2 abstentions, no votes, 5 no, 10 yes. Resolution is adopted.
Pardon me?
There was,
No,
12 yes.
it is not adopted. You needed 13 to have it adopted.
Excuse me 1 second. Let me read that.
I don't think his tally is right.
There are 10 voting affirmative and 5 voting in the negative. And there are 2 abstentions.
I only got 1 abstention.
Five voting no and 10 abstentions.
Excuse me, say that again now. 12 voting yes.
12 yes, 5 no's, and 2 abstentions. That's the 18 votes.
15.
Beth, you're saying that the resolution is not adopted because there weren't a sufficient quorum voting in the affirmative, is that what you're saying?
Yes.
Hmm.
It must be passed by not less than majority of the entire members authorized to vote,
Okay.
not those members present for the meeting. We have 24 members. That means we would need 13 affirmatives for this motion to pass.
You are correct, the motion is not adopted.
But there's 2 expired, right?
There are 2 expired.
But they
That's
didn't,
true.
they didn't vote.
Yep, but they don't
They
get
don't
counted.
get voted.
Because they're down to 22.
Voting member.
So you would still need, if it's 22 that are,
You do 12.
you would need 12, and we were at 10. So
We're at 12 yes,
Well,
5
yes.
no and 2 abstentions. I don't know where you're getting 10.
okay, I'm sorry, what was the count?
That's what was read off.
There's 18 voters. I have 12 yes.
Oh, I'm sorry,
5 no.
you are correct, it is 12 yes.
12, 5,
12, 5, and 2 is 19.
and 2.
You're right. So, and I only had 1 abstention. He had 2 abstentions.
That's 19. I
That's
only had 1
19.
abstention.
Um,
I think he called for one.
I'm sorry.
I would make a motion to call for a revote, please, so that this is clear.
All
I
right.
agree.
Somebody needs to second it.
All right, we will have a revote at this time on this resolution. The public need has been shown to exist for the New York Safety Tract to establish an ambulance service with their primary operating territory to be on the property of the tract.
Point of order.
Go ahead.
The public hearing officer did not state that there was public need. The public hearing officer found that there was no public need.
That's what the public hearing officer said in her written report, yes.
But what you're saying is, you're saying in your motion that public need was found.
You're saying public need was met.
That's what the vote is for.
That's what the vote is for, whether or
The
not.
vote has to be in the
I
affirmative.
thought the same thing, but the vote is,
Okay,
Right, where the hearing officer actually found that there was not a public need.
Right, the hearing officer makes a recommendation.
okay, thank you.
It's not normal, but makes a recommendation.
That's right, I'm already confused.
She makes.
Nobody had anything to, before the vote, nobody said anything to talk about that there was an issue. Why,
Well,
why
because
not?
it was
Within
sent
the-
to all of the the hearing officer's notes
Right.
and recommendations were sent to all the
I'm
members.
just saying, there was Phil kept asking, does anybody have anything, and no one said anything. I'm just wondering why.
Say anything during the Stanford vote.
We felt that the public hearing officer's recommendations stood for themselves. If you had read them, then that would have been exactly what we would have said. And he brought up the public hearing officer's recommendations.
And I do have copies of that if you
The
did not
public
have
hearing
an opportunity.
officer's recommendation is part of the decision-making process of the members of the council. So, as called for, I will now ask for a revote on this. And a voting quorum, by the way, is the total number, it's a majority of the total number of members that constitute the total membership. I'm putting this forward, that constitute the total membership of this council. This council has 25 voting members, despite whose terms may have expired or not expired. So a voting quorum of those would be 13.
But you have two that are expired.
Yeah, there are two that are expired, but they're,
Expired by our council, or by the terms of our council?
but their terms of office have expired from by their nominating authority and they haven't been renominated.
Their terms on AAREMS.
Yeah.
Yes, their terms have expired within the 3-year term of AAREMS. And that's the two
So
ends,
they're not
right?
voting members.
Correct.
That's
AAREMS.
the two, both eds from Scary County.
And they're
No,
not.
it's
Yeah, but that would only.
Joe Luzz's term and Ed Hillenbrand's term ended on 12/31 of 19. So by what I'm reading, they would not be authorized members to vote.
Correct.
Schoharie
And
County
yet the-
has
and yet
not
the,
yet named replacements for those two positions.
Right,
Correct, so from 25, you would be at
23.
You have
Right.
23 eligible voting members.
So we need 12 yeses to make the motion pass.
Correct.
And
So we would
the
need
count was
12.
off the last time,
Correct.
Bill's count's off?
we will re-vote it and see.
You have a microphone.
I was gonna
Yeah,
say,
I was gonna say, maybe we just.
can we ask for it to be read back?
Can we ask for it to be read back?
Yeah, can we have it read back?
I could.
I think it's just easier to vote.
It is a pain, I can do it
In
though.
the interest of time, why don't we just re-vote?
That's the way to do it.
What is the pleasure of the chair?
I would take, I would ask.
What does Robert's rules say in a matter like this? Is there anything?
Technically, we're really voting twice.
Where's my book?
I think what we're really asking for is not a revote, but a recount. So we just want to affirm what was voted on the first time. We're not re-voting on something, we're just asking for a recount.
I will read you my count, my vote count from the first time, if I may. Mr. Gazzola is absent. Ryan Hanel shows a yes vote. Patrice Delamita shows a yes vote. Margaret Wilson shows an abstention. Allison Martin shows yes. Jack Farquhar shows yes. Jim McCready shows yes. Mark Souza shows no. Philip Malidi shows yes. Kenneth Kurt shows yes. Avis Warner shows yes. Gary Wicks shows yes. Thomas Pasquarelli shows no. Michael Swartz shows no. Anthony Agresta shows no. Sidney Chase shows yes. Beth McGowan shows no. Timothy Forster shows yes. Richard Kurtzman shows yes. That is a total of
5 and 1 abstention.
It's 18.
shows 12, 1 abstention, and 5 no votes.
As a non-voting member who has no interest in any of this, those numbers match the tally that I did the first time through, while you voted.
Okay, so the final vote is yes 12, no is 5, and 1 abstention.
So the motion carries.
The motion carries.
Anything else for transportation standards?
That's all I have for transportation standards.
State council report, state council meets, like Beth said, March 10th and 11th in Albany, so nothing since the last meeting. REMAC has not met since last month. With that, we'll move on to county reports. Delaware.
Delaware County's been actually quite busy. We were part of that critical care to paramedic bridge. We're one of the sites for that. We just finished up testing and had 5 people move through that program for us. We finished up a CFR course. We're finishing up an EMT course. We're actually working pretty closely with our public health and the coronavirus stuff, so we've been extremely busy for the past 2
Where
months.
did the CFR course go? CFR course went good?
It was a big class.
Good.
At Seago.
Business as usual.
Nothing new. Schoharie.
Nobody here from Schoharie.
Montgomery, we don't have anything in particular going on. We have, GAVAC's got an EMT class that starts here at the end of the month, the 27th.
We have 20 people.
Fulton,
Business as usual.
Hamilton,
We have a CFR course starting on March 2nd, has been approved.
all right. Any old business?
Not from me.
Anybody else have any old business? If not, new business.
I'm not officially from the county, but I know a couple things going on that they'd want to share. One is that Richmondville EMS is hosting an EVOC course. I honestly don't know the date off the top of my head, but contact anybody from Scary County or me, I can get it to you. And programmatically, the City Culp School Paramedic Program just went through their DOH site visit audit for course sponsorship renewal. And honestly, the BEM staff did a fantastic job. Like, it was one of the most in-depth audits I think I've ever gone through, and they were great, so.
Who conducted that, would be able to say?
Jean Taylor came down herself and also brought 2 new hires to train them while she was there, and they really went through a lot of stuff. They did a fantastic job.
EVOC is this Saturday.
What was that?
EVOC is this
EVOC is this Saturday, there you go.
8 a.m. to 5 p.m.
Any other new business? Yes?
Yeah, on a safety aspect, I don't know how many people look at the NFPA journal, I'm sure Tony does. But when you go to a motor vehicle crash where it's an electric car, you should park your vehicle 50 feet from that car. Because they've had a couple of them where they've caught on fire, just all of a sudden, bam, caught on fire. And the off-gassing is something to be concerned with, but what they showed in NFPA was when they tow trucks take these cars away, they have to park them 50 feet from all the other vehicles in their lot.
Really?
And they're actually showing one of them where they took a big container, picked a car up with grapple hooks, picked the car up and set it down in the container and then put 3,000 gallons of water on it and just let it set there until it stopped off-gassing and all the batteries discharged. You can't discharge those batteries on your own, you have to have somebody from the company come and discharge the batteries. And the one accident they showed where the car caught on fire, the batteries just completely exploded and went all the way across the highway, and those batteries are all individual cells, so they all have to be discharged individually. So keep your ambulance 50 feet from the car if it's an electric car.
Would this also involve hybrid vehicles?
Yeah, but the hybrids aren't quite as bad as the fully electric ones.
Thanks, Lee. Never thought of that.
Any other new business? There being none, I'll take a motion to adjourn.
No motion.
Run right back
We're
here.
adjourning at 14:10. We next meet on March 19th. It'll be spring, the next time we meet. Spring? Or almost, yeah.
Can you charge somebody for using a truck or are they?
I don't know if it's